Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 5 of the anime series, Rage of Bahamut, Virgin Soul. And I loved the beginning of this episode. Nina dragging around Mugato shopping, thinking he's a she. I mean, I'm just presuming it's a boy. I mean, it might even be genderless. Mugato might be genderless for all we know, being a product of the heavenly realm and everything like that. It just might be a temporary physical form, and really I'm only guesstimating that it's a boy, that he's male. But it's Nina's entire, sort of just taking it for granted. Oh, it's a girl, and she's dressing Mugato up and buying dresses and jewelry and all these different kind of things. With all the money she hustled with the arm wrestling, and she's even hustling to this degree where she sees, there are these hair clips or whatever, and she wants two. It's like, they're half off or whatever it is. So really, two of them would basically cost the same amount as just buying one of them. She's still getting one for a discount. But she's hustling this guy, why don't we arm wrestle for it? And then you give me both of them double half off. I'll only pay for one, even though they're both half off. I'll only pay for the one that's half off. And this guy's like, she's got to be out of her mind. He gets that ear-to-ear grin, and he's going to have a field day with her. And the look on her face, the expressions they put into her face all throughout this episode, all throughout every episode, just endear her to me that much more. She is absolutely hilarious and adorable. And it was really kind of adorable after she gets the best of this guy. They're getting the dresses and all the new clothes and everything. And she keeps talking to Mugato, who obviously is mute, really can't communicate all that much, all that well. And yet the look on his face, every time he smiles, every time he's reacting to her, buoyancy and her bounciness, her just vivaciousness, and how happy she is. She's happy to make him happy, thinking, he's a girl, happy to make her happy, whatever you want to say. He just seems to be really genuinely enjoying himself. And every time he stops and he cocks his head and he smiles or whatever, it warms my heart. I love the kid. He's adorable as well. He or she, whatever. And then, of course, things take a turn for the dramatic where they encounter this slave owner, and he's pushing these demon slaves to the absolute limits. One of them collapses under his own ill health and everything like that, being so pushed and so forced to work, and these hard, laborious, things that they have to do, dragging these giant wagons full of materials and such like that. And this guy collapses. And so, of course, the slave owner gets up in his face, is beating the hell out of him, and then getting a perverse pleasure out of activating the sort of, clasped chain ring around his neck. He's speaking to an armature piece that, it's like, I don't know whether he's casting spells or how exactly he's manipulating this device, but it is causing entirely body-racking pain all through this demon, who's already fallen to the ground, weak and just exhausted and probably starving and all these things. And this guy's just getting that much more sick, twisted pleasure out of harming him that much further, pushing it that much further. Of course, Nina, being true to her nature, intervenes. She gets up in this guy's face and she's like, "You're a crackpot. You must be out of your effing mind. Do you even understand what you're doing to these slaves? You want them to actually work for you, and you're practically killing them with this labor that they're doing, but then you're also going the nth degree to torture them as well, and that's going to just make them die quicker. And what is wrong with you? There's something inherently wrong with you." And this guy and all of his bums are going to gang rape her if she's not careful, not knowing that she isn't an average everyday human being, that she has these Dragon Age powers and all this kind of stuff. And this is where Mugato, his last nerve is broken, but I mean, you wouldn't know it to look at him because there's almost no expression on his face. His red eye reveals itself glowing, and everything turns black and white to sort of, put a punctuation on the slowing of time, wherein he is able to literally evaporate these chain harnesses around all of these demon slaves' necks. And within seconds, like, they're all gone. It's over. All of these demon slaves are free, and the entire horde of this slave owner's crew, they're horrified. He looks back like, what did you do? Like, I was under the impression that only perchance, Nina and the demons themselves might have been able to perceive what was happening. But it seemed like everyone did. It just seemed to punctuate the idea that he had called some power forth. And it was a power that, spoke to anyone from the demon realm or the angelic realm within an arm's reach of what was happening, because we see the angelic presence that is Sophiel, who has gone to Bacchus previously and said, we will let you back into heaven. You will regain your honor in heaven if you help us find Mugaro, this child. They don't know who he is, he or she, but that this child is on earth and they want to reclaim this child. So, of course, she manages to perceive the sense of that power in that moment. And the entire slave horde goes running for their ever-loving lives, the entire group of demons chasing after. I'm almost glad that we didn't see what might have ensued thereupon after those demons caught up with that horde again. Probably not going to be seeing those cats around. Unless they found a hiding spot, that kind of thing. And Nina, for her part, toward the end of that sequence, I almost had to question, did she actually perceive it after all? Because she did look dumbstruck. She looked awestruck, turning around to look back at Mugaro. Did you do something? And suddenly I was like, oh, maybe she didn't perceive it. Maybe she didn't know what was happening. But of course, then later, after they reunite with Bacchus, Bacchus is drunk out of his gourd as usual, and he had just received a visit again from Sophiel, who is much more threatening, I think you could say, in this encounter with him, because she feels maybe he's half-assing it. Maybe he's, if not outright hiding something, he's playing up his own ignorance and affability. He just kind of, he's comfortable on earth. He doesn't want to go back to heaven. He's not really chomping at the bit to. They waved that carrot at the end of the stick in front of him, and he hasn't budged. So she's more so like, look, you're going to do this or else. And when she's parting ways, of course, there is Nina and Mugaro just returning, just coming back to his carriage. And that near miss of her walking right past, there is the child you're seeking, and she had no sense of it. So she can only sense his presence upon the power he utilizes when he summons it forth. I found that to be very interesting. But then, of course, Nina and the little duck, she finally said his name, and I forgot to take note of it because I still haven't learned it. But they're mocking Bacchus and talking about, oh, maybe they got, down to the nitty gritty, got busy, because even though they are sort of co-workers and everything like that, I love all the game playing and the wordplay there. But Bacchus loses his crap because, he's still completely fit-chased out of his gourd, and he doesn't like people ribbing him and everything like that. And Nina, again, as we find going back to the first episode, she just sort of imposed upon Bacchus's better graces to stay with him and everything like that. So it takes a turn for the more interesting when Bacchus starts to put two and two together. Like, they fake you out at first, because he's like looking at Mugaro, he's like, hey, what's with you? And then it turns out to be, rather than let's see your eye, what's with that outfit? I think Bacchus even presumes this is a boy rather than a girl, like Nina suspects. But then, of course, he and the duck get all inquisitive, and they're like, after hearing that information about what Mugaro pulled out of his hat, for all intents and purposes, saving these demons, well, of course, this has Bacchus's curiosity raised and his ire raised, because here is this kid who's been right there under his nose all along. Is this the kid that the heavens want? And I really got to wonder, in which direction might Bacchus's loyalties lie? I don't, for the first minute, suspect that he would actually turn this kid in, get in contact with them, and let them know, let the heavenly realm know, hey, I found your kid. I don't think he's going to do that. I don't suspect he's going to. If nothing else, I would more easily assume he's going to look for the most beneficial for his own devices, choice to make there. If he can make money off this, if he can exploit this in some way, that would be probably his first go-to, action to take. But of course, he and the duck are sneaking around when they're asleep, Nina and Mugato respectively, and they're trying to get a look at his other eye to see if he does in fact have two different colored eyes, because he's got that coif that covers the one all day, every day, unless he summons forth that ability. And of course it gets really kind of awkward because Nina wakes up. What are you guys doing? And they claim, oh, you looked cute together, asleep and everything, getting all pervy. And I thought she just smacked Bacchus in the nose, but it turns out when they pull back and he's gone flying, she kicked him in the face. that had me dying laughing. And then she kicks them both out of Bacchus's own wagon. But there they are at the end to left lamenting, this is the kid. Holy hell. What are we going to do now? I think, as I say, Bacchus might look for the most exploitative way to break beyond this. I don't think he's so enticed by the idea of being welcomed back into heaven. But what monetarily, what drunken way can he make a buck or gain from this? But I also think with that lament at the end with he and the duck, I also got the impression that this is kind of irksome to him. Like, he is comfortable. He is enjoying himself, being the lazy drunkard bum that he is on the planetary realm, on the antithesis of the heavenly realm, and he pretty much gets to be in command of his own life. He's free to do whatever he wants in a sense. And now here comes along trouble. Now we've got not only Nina, but now in tandem with her, we've got the very all-powerful being that the heavenly realm wants back. If he's found to be harboring or hiding him, that's just going to open up a whole can of worms I don't think Bacchus wants to have to deal with. And so who knows, he might willingly turn over the kid, take him out of my hands, wipe his hands clean of it, and leave me be, that kind of thing. It could go either way. So all of that was compelling and intriguing and exciting to watch, and hilarious as all hell. But then, of course, in contrast to that, you have a sort of bittersweet scene between Kaiser and Rita, where, of course, he's asked her to have tea, let's hang out and have some tea. And she thinks, I guess she has romantic aspirations toward Kaiser or something, or at least an interest in him. And you almost think he's going to ask her flat out, the impression she's getting, the expression on her face is telling you, she's like, oh, is this going to be a proposal of marriage? Is he going to formally ask me out? He doesn't feel right about it. It's kind of awkward. On the contrary, he's consumed, very much worry-warding for the honorary status of the Orleans Knights, and are they respectable anymore? Have they lost face or value in the 10 years that he's been in their employ and working as this captain placement under the King Charios and everything? And are they something to be not taken so seriously? Are they not a force to be reckoned with anymore? And is it because of his leadership? He's really questioning everything about himself and his leadership and this group being less than honorable as they once were, at least not nearly as much as they once were. And he just goes a mile a minute. He's rambling faster than I do in these videos and much more verbose. And Rita just has her last nerve broken. She punches him in the face, sends him flying over the back of this wall into the water and everything. The ducks swim off. And she's just like, you really, there's no help in you. Here I thought you have come so far, you had grown so much, and really you haven't even budged, from where I thought you'd evolved from. And so whatever you say about that entire, sort of playing out, that sequence, do we find, while it's kind of bittersweet and heartbreaking on Rita's end, this seemed to prompt and propel Kaiser to renew his vigor in his next approach to Charios, which we see in this episode. He is no longer afraid to lay bare how he really truly feels about the mistakes Charios is making, As well as, this was part of what he talked about with Rita, the mistakes Azazel is making. Azazel has gone to demonkind, the demons that are hidden in the sort of under realm, if you will, whatever you might say, the catacombs or whatever around this area, and he's seeking to enlist them to his cause of fighting back against humanity and taking out Chetios himself. It's these are two sides of the same coin, Chetios and Azazel respectively, with Kaiser caught very much in the middle, and he's trying to plead with Chetios, much as he tried to talk sense to Azazel, that Azazel is making all the wrong choices. He might have a more honorable, foundation in what he's seeking to pursue, but there's also vengeance there. There's also a bloodlust there. He simply wants revenge on humanity, and he wants to take down humanity's figurehead that is Chetios. Similarly so, Chetios wants to bury the rag demon that is Azazel and send all demonkind packing. He is very much consumed with being all powerful. The power they have as yet achieved, stolen from the heavens in conquering the heavenly realm, is not nearly enough for him. Absolute power has gone beyond absolutely corrupting him. He wants all-powerful power. He wants the nth degree power, the unanswerable, all-consuming power to end all debate, to even quell the mighty dragon Bahamut, if ever confronted with him again, just at humans' hands. And so both of these men are highly misguided and misdirected and making all the wrong kinds of assumptions and plans. Here you have Azazel wanting to exploit Nina's dragon form to his ends of wiping out humanity. Here you have Chetios wanting to seek a penultimate power even further beyond the heavenly power they have taken hold of and are now wielding to be able to take out all of demonkind, all the heavenly and demon realms. And here is Kaiser, the most plain-stated, honorable guy, stuck in the middle of these earth-shattering, universal travesties waiting to unfold, and he's the most common-sense guy in the room. He's trying to appeal to both Azazel in previous episodes and now Chetios, but he has that renewed vigor that this is how I feel. You're all making terrible mistakes left, right, and center. And he calls back to season 1. And this is where I was like, hell yes, I fist pumped. He calls back to 10 years hence, when demons, the heavenly realm, and humanity all came together as brothers. They all came together for the mutual cause of ceasing and quelling Bahamut's unleashing his penultimate power, wiping away all. And were it not for that unification, he would have succeeded. And there would be no humanity. There would be no heavenly realm. There would be no demonkind. And so mad props to Kaiser, mad props to the nth degree for that common sense, for that trying to appeal to these two guys. As I say, they are snakes from either side of the aisle. They are both coming from opposite ends of the spectrum for the same mutual cause of destruction for thine enemy. And Kaiser is the teeter-tottering point in the middle, just wanting to quell it before it gets that much worse. And when you have all-powerful elements like Nina, who can transform into dragon form, like Mugato, who, again, as much as we've seen of his powers, I believe this is probably only the very cursory element of what he is all-powerfully capable of. And that could spell out either wondrous things or disastrous things. And so once again, this was a hell of an episode. And I enjoy every single episode thus far of this series in the same fashion. They entertain me. They keep me on the edge of my seat. They keep me speculating and guessing at things. And just highly entertained. And I love the pacing of them. I love the pacing of the reveals and the twisting, turning of the story. Even though I do not agree with the motivations of Azazel and Chetios to some degree, I can still understand where they're coming from. They're coming from the wrong place. And they're putting all of their money on the wrong decisions. And so when you have characters at the center of that, like Kaiser, like Nina, like Mugato, Nina and Mugato both being the exploitative endgame for the human and demon realms, as well as the heavenly realm. We still don't know what stake they hold necessarily in this, other than wanting this child back, but we have gotten hints from the Archangel Gabriel, that the heavens might be seeking to reclaim their supremacy over humanity. So we have 3 full-on realms ready to just unleash holy hell on each other. And how can that not be utmost engaging and exciting? I don't know. You can't ask me, because I'm loving every drip and minute of it. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 5 of Rage of Bahamut, Virgin Soul. If you've seen it as well, love or to hate it, anything goes in the comments below. Just love having that conversation. And otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. If this video finds you well, I'll catch you all later. Peace.